first, our big story.
We went from a welfare check to a woman being killed by the cops.
The officer observed a person through a rear window in the residence and fired a shot at that person.
When officers come in our communities, they come in combat mode.
The officer did not announce that he was a police officer prior to shooting.
Put your hands up, show me your hands.
We are not target practice for nobody.
We can expect more killings.
Outrage after an African-American woman shot and killed by a Texas police officer while she sat in her home playing video games with her 8-year-old nephew. That officer's under fire. Now, the Fort Worth police released heavily edited body cam video showing the moment the officer shot through the window.
Put your hands up, show me your hands.
Now, they also released 2 still images showing what appears to be a gun found inside the victim's home. Now, police were called to the house after a concerned neighbor saw the door to the home open. This is about 2:30 in the morning, called 911. That neighbor now says he feels guilty.
I called because I was concerned for my neighbor's safety and well-being. I feel guilty because had I not called the Fort Worth Police Department, my neighbor would still be alive today.
And a short time ago, the victim's family spoke out, slamming the officer involved, calling for him to be fired and arrested.
When you don't do it the way you've been trained or the way you've been taught, you have to answer for that. This man murdered someone. He should be arrested.
The first thing he told me was he was sad. And I asked him, why was he sad? And he told me because the police had shot his aunt.
Yeah. I want to show you what's going on right now in Fort Worth. Police press conference ongoing. We're going to monitor this and let you know any new information we get from that press conference. Again, police are commenting. We have our experts standing by as well. Want to bring in HLN legal analyst, Great Chrome defense attorney Joey Jackson's with us. Also joining us, Steve Moore, retired FBI supervisory special agent. Steve, I'll start with you as we look at what we know, at least, of the officer's actions. Did not identify himself as police before the shooting. And we heard briefly there the officer say, put your hands up, show me your hands, and immediately fires after that. From what you're seeing, give us your take on the officer's actions.
Hey, Mike, first thing I have to do is to give you the caveat. I wasn't there, but from what I'm seeing right now, didn't give a chance. First of all, didn't identify as a police officer. Secondarily, didn't give the person a chance to comply with his other instruction, which was show me your hands. Maybe after he said show me your hands, the person moved. Either way, I don't know how you come up with an imminent danger of loss of life out of this, simply seeing a shadow in a window. I also think that this officer had other means to protect himself, like getting out from in front of the window, taking cover, because you don't have an imminent threat that's patent. So I have some very serious issues with this shooting.
And you're using some of the language. Clarify for us what training tells you equals lethal force.
In the FBI, you could only use deadly force when it was, number one, necessary, and number two, when you had a reasonable belief that you were in imminent danger of loss of life or grievous bodily injury. This officer may have been afraid for his life, but it certainly wasn't a reasonable fear because there was no weapon shown. He didn't say, drop the gun. He said, show me your hands, which means he didn't see a weapon. I've got so many concerns about this.
Okay. And again, we're monitoring a press conference ongoing. As we get more information, we'll pass along to you. Joey, Atiana's family, they want the officer fired, arrested, obviously here. How do you want to see things proceed as we move forward?
Well, first of all, Mike, I'm in accord with my friend Steve Moore's analysis completely. How I'd like to see things proceed is that obviously there needs to be a thorough investigation. The issue becomes who's going to investigate. I think that they are right, that is the family, the representative of the family, and the community activist, by indicating that it should be independent. Why? Because what happens is you want any findings of any investigation to be trusted and respected by the community. Fort Worth police officers and investigators investigating their own person, I don't think that's appropriate. I don't think that's the type of transparency that'll be necessary, and people obviously will believe that there's a built-in bias. I've talked about this for a long time. I don't think that local prosecutors or local police departments should be investigating their own. To the core point, very quickly, Mike, of the actual shooting itself, it's very troubling. From a tactical perspective, I mean, really, if you're going to come there and just see someone there and just start guns a-blazing, show me your hands and shooting, why not the announcement? Why no concealment? Why not ducking for cover? Why not indicating police, we're here, we have the house surrounded, come up, whatever you need to do. Tactically, it's a problem. Legally, where's the immediacy of the threat posed? If you're going to kill someone, shouldn't you have a basis or reason other than seeing a silhouette in a window? And then from a public relations perspective, it's awful. You release this edited video to the public, and then you have the nerve and audacity to photograph a gun inside a home as if it's a problem to have a gun in a home, as if you're in Texas. Let's put it in context. We don't know where the gun was. We don't know what, if anything, or the relation to the gun to the person who was killed. They just show a gun in the home as if that's supposed to excuse everything they do. So this is highly troubling. I'm hopeful that an investigation will be impartial, complete, and thorough, and that the community will be able to judge what actually went on, and if there's a prosecution, it should happen.
Okay. As I mentioned, we're monitoring what's going on. We want to take you to Fort Worth. The mayor speaking moments ago. Let's listen to that.
I wanted to say a few things to my city. We are all heartbroken today. Atiana was a beautiful, smart, amazing young woman, by all accounts, who was unjustly taken from her family. The entire city is in pain. As a mother, a grandmother, a sister, an aunt, I can't imagine anything worse, and I'm so sorry. On behalf of the entire city of Fort Worth, I'm sorry. To Atiana's family, it's unacceptable. There is nothing that could justify what happened on Saturday morning. Nothing.
Again, that's the mayor. We'll continue to monitor. I want you both to weigh in on this question. Why not release the full body cam footage? Steve, go ahead.
Well, I think what you saw was enough to show what the predication for the shooting was. I think if you need to go further on that, I wouldn't release it publicly. I'd use it as part of the investigation, maybe have a jury see it. But I do want to go back and second Joey's point. Whether or not Fort Worth Police Department would do a credible job in the investigation and come to hard conclusions doesn't matter, because if they were to find that the officer was exonerated, nobody would believe them. I think, and obviously that's the fear of the community. Regardless of how well they might do it, this needs to be done by another agency who has no dog in this fight.
Got it. Hey, Joey, we'll hear from you in just a moment. We want to get everybody some sound from the police chief there in Fort Worth. Let's listen to that.
Thank you, Mayor. Before I provide an update, I'd first like to extend my sincerest sympathies to the family of Tatiana Jefferson. Her father called this shooting senseless, and I certainly have not been able to make sense of why she had to lose her life. On behalf of the men and women of the Fort Worth Police Department, I'm so sorry for what occurred. You, Tatiana's family and friends, have my apologies, my condolences, and my prayers. We've received many calls from the community expressing their concerns and demands. And I assure you, as chief of this department, I share those concerns, and I demand a thorough, transparent, and speedy investigation. This will not be an opportunity for us to make excuses, but rather to investigate this case to the fullest, to provide the justice we all seek for Tatiana. Our officer-involved shootings are investigated by both our major case unit, which investigates the criminal aspect of the case, and our internal affairs unit, which investigates administrative policy and training violations. These investigations occur concurrently but separately. I will outline where we are with both investigations at this point. The Internal Affairs Unit responded to the scene of the shooting. Their role is to observe the on-scene investigation, but they take a back seat to the criminal investigation being conducted by the Major Case Unit. The officer who shot at Tatiana was served his written administrative complaint on Sunday. At that time, he was also placed on detached duty and stripped of his badge and firearm. My intent was to meet with him today to terminate his employment with the Fort Worth Police Department. However, the officer tendered his resignation this morning before we met. Even though he no longer works for the city, we will continue the administrative investigation as if he did. The case will be completed and reviewed by the chain of command. Had the officer not resigned, I would have fired him for violations of several policies, including our use of force policy, our de-escalation policy, and unprofessional conduct. A statement to that effect will be placed within the investigation to serve as a written record of that determination. Additionally, the separation paperwork that is sent to the state licensing agency, the Texas Commission on Law Enforcement, will reflect that he was dishonorably discharged from employment with the Fort Worth Police Department. Now that the officer has resigned, he no longer has the protections of state civil service law. Therefore, I can now release his name. Aaron Dean, ID 4598, was the officer who responded to the call and fired the shot that killed Tatiana. He was hired by the department on August 21st, 2017, and commissioned as a licensed peace officer on April 13th, 2018. Despite his resignation, the officer still faces criminal charges from the Major Case investigation. I've personally checked on the progress of that case repeatedly, and I anticipate a substantial update to provide you no later than tomorrow. Additionally, we have also presented a preliminary case to the FBI to review the officer's actions for possible civil rights violations. None of this information can ease the pain of Tatiana's family, but I hope it shows the community that we take these incidents seriously. We will continue to provide updates as they become available. Thank you.
All right, there's the police chief giving us some news there that the officer named Aaron Dean has resigned and could face criminal charges and all this. Joey, your reaction?
My reaction is I believe that the mayor as well as the police chief are striking the appropriate tone. I think that they are attempting to make sense of it, number one. I think number two, they've given the indication that there was a FBI referral being made for potential civil rights violations. Number three, there was an indication that the officer, had they not resigned, would have been fired on 3 bases for violation, number one, of their use of force policy, number two, their de-escalation policy, and number three, for their failure to act professional policy. I think this is what the community certainly wants. I think the community wants to know and understand that whoever is at the helm is taking this very seriously, not brushing it under the rug at all, is being fully transparent and recognizing that something is wrong. And so I think it was very effective what the chief just did.
Yeah, and Steve, to Joey's point, that was the tone from both the mayor and the police chief. Something is wrong here. And as we know, we find out that the officers resigned. I think, though, timing is what people are looking at. How long will this play out? Because obviously, Tatiana's family, they want action now.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to have, due process for this officer. And I know people are sitting here saying, well, Tatiana didn't get due process, but we still have to move forward as the law allows to protect the rights of everyone, even when somebody was so unjustly taken from her family. So I think it is important what the police chief and the mayor said, because when something is so egregious, they don't act. What will happen when there are questions about a legitimate action? This goes a long way towards at least beginning to rebuild relationship that's been so destroyed right now.
All right. Joey, Steve, gentlemen, thanks so much. We'll continue to follow that story. Also this,